Hello. So I was browsing on Instagram and I followed an account, Moon Mama Oracle, but I kind of followed them because they were posting different spreads and I've kind of want to start like a little book of my own of spreads and try them out and whatnot. So there's some pretty deep ones I was going to do, but then I saw the Mercury Retrograde one and I know it's already kind of started, but I'm like, oh, that looks fun. Because I've been kind of like joking about it when I talk to my fiance, and I'm like, I can't use my words, Mercury retrograde. But so it seemed like a really fun spread that I wanted to try. So I kind of wrote them down on these little cards. I really want to make my own cards. I know there's like decks that have spreads, and I'm really tempted to get them, but I don't know. I might get one, but I also want to like make my own. So for this, I'll probably use my Radiant Rider-waite, which I just trimmed not that long ago. I know this is definitely like a full-on like Thoth year, but I feel like this one right now would just be easier to understand. And then I think for the advice from my guides, I do have Ask Your Guides by Sonia Chiquette, I think her name is. I really love that deck. It's actually a deck my grandma gave me. And for the longest time, I was like, I don't really, I kept it just because she gave it to me. But then when I actually started using it, I actually really like it. But I use that for my daily card draw, and I have that one of the cards up, and I really don't want to disturb it. So I think I'm going to use the Queen of the Moon Oracle by Stacey DeMarco for just a one card draw from the advice. So yeah, the first one is card to represent your energy. What should I be cautious of during this retrograde? What may get lost in communication during Mercury retrograde? Who or what from my past, hopefully nobody, is waiting to make a return during this time? How can I keep myself balanced during this retrograde? And advice from my guides. So let me shuffle and think about it. For what I usually do, I don't really split the deck or anything. I used to, but what I do when I go to pick a card is just kind of fan them out, pick one, fan them out, pick one. Kind of like, so each individual card, I guess, kind of feels like it has more of like energy that I'm drawn to or something like that. Bring that up just a little bit. My desk is so messy. I've got nail stuff everywhere. So I'm glad I went with this smaller deck. Okay. So, card to represent my energy. I got the Three of Wands. What should I be cautious of during this retrograde? Ooh, the Nine of Wands. What may get lost in communication during Mercury retrograde? The Devil. Who or what, hopefully no one, from my past is waiting to make a return. Ugh. How can I keep myself balanced during this time? Oh, nice. Advice from my guides. Oh, and then my oracle. Resilience. Okay. My mind always blanks out when I'm trying to record reading any of these. So it's probably not a good idea to read, but I guess since, I already know that this time is supposed to be a little off, so I'm not too worried about it. So my energy. So from what I get from the Three of Wands, so obviously the first like keywords that pop in my head is like waiting for your ships to come in, waiting for your work to be fulfilled. So, and then since this is kind of a Thoth month and I'm like still a little bit into my studies, so this is still up in the supernal triad. So before actual physical manifestations. So my energy right now is more just kind of in a waiting purgatory comes to my head. So like, not, but not like a bad purgatory, just kind of chilling and waiting for things to happen. But everything's already set. Everything is already in the works. So yeah, I don't know. I guess that represents my energy, which makes sense. You know, I've been trying to get a lot of things done because I'm a huge procrastinator. So when I get into that type of energy to actually do stuff, I try to do as much as possible because I know I'm not going to want to do anything. So yeah. So what should I be cautious of during this time? So we got the 9 of Wands. I always think of this as the perseverance. You know, he's all beat up. He's already done a lot. I want the question next to it so I can see. So what should I be cautious of? You know, especially if there's a time about miscommunication, should be cautious of being overly defensive, which makes sense because me and my fiance are having kind of like a little conversation. Now, this is probably something I should keep with me all the time, but I always think or try to repeat to myself for a lot of things, it's not that deep. It's not that deep because I overthink way too much. So, I mean, it's fine to overthink, but acting on those and becoming defensive, that's just the first thing that comes to my mind. So that's something I should be cautious of, which actually makes perfect sense. What may get lost in communication during Mercury retrograde? So when I see the devils as something that gets lost in communication is maybe thinking that like people can be self-serving. And sometimes, I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is self-serving. So that can be something like when someone's telling me something, because this is something I do, how many times can I say something? This is a thing I do all the time. I'm always very, I guess, paranoid that anytime someone has a conversation with me, there's always something they want in return. Not all the time. That sounds more serious than what I really mean. I'm sure the people that do that would understand. So what may get lost in communication? I guess that's something I need to be wary of. Not everybody is trying to fulfill a need when they're talking to me. Like if I have to call like the mechanic, like right away, I shouldn't just think this is going to benefit them, or, you know, or the family members that have, for example, like a drinking issue or something like that. Like maybe I do have family members that struggle with certain things that I'm in communication with all the time. So another thing I can think of that is not to just right away assume that they're giving in to their demons when they're trying to communicate about something, if that makes sense. So I should be more supportive if that comes up. Who or what from my past is waiting to make a return during this time? Change? Oh, the Death card. Like, I don't attribute death to any one person that I've ever known, to be honest. And since death is kind of like that gradual change, like start of a whole new cycle, whole new way of living even. So I guess maybe just some past changes, things that I thought were different aren't different. Yeah, I'm not too sure. That's the only thing I can think of is just, wow, I kind of like blinked out. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I just think maybe some things that I thought were changed may make a return. Maybe like a nostalgic thing. Hopefully it's nobody. Because I can't really think of any one person that would represent that card for me. How can I keep myself balanced during this retrograde? So the first thing I always think about the High Priestess is that, you know, she's quiet. So she's more introverted. So maybe just shut up. You can't have a miscommunication if you don't communicate, right? Well, maybe going back to like the the Devil card and then the Wands card about like the self-awareness that I do certain things and that maybe those things might be more apparent this time to maybe do some introspective looking, I guess, and prevent those things from happening. Especially for me, I can be kind of snoopy, so it's like I kind of get in a habit of asking questions I already know the answer to, so maybe just don't ask. I don't know, that's all I can get from that one. Advice from my guides for Mercury Retrograde. So we have the World card, completion, and we have resilience. Why did I read this? And resilience. There we go. No communication at all. The waning Gibeus, number 5. So I'm still kind of getting familiar with this one, but if I remember correctly, like what she talks about in the book is, I think one of the first things she talks about is about you learn resilience and learn from making mistakes, and then more about actual resilience. So then that makes me think of like, you know, the 10 of Wands, of having kind of like a burden. Oh wow, those are tentacles in there. I've never noticed. But yeah, so that makes me think of the 10 of Wands. And there's nothing, I mean, it's not like if you have a burden, sometimes you have to carry it. And there's nothing wrong with it, because eventually you'll get to where you need to go. But, it, you know, it's not something that you can keep doing. But you can be resilient and at least get to your destination. And that's where the planning comes in after the fact. Like, how can we work smarter and not harder next time? And then we have the completion card. So I guess what the little quick message I get from this is that, you know, and this is probably my own personal thing too, it's like everything's going to be fine. We go through our ups and downs. We learn from it, and it'll work its way out in the end. So I guess the main things I can think of are definitely don't be so defensive. Don't have preconceived notions of people when you talk to them. And to kind of think before I talk. I think that's what I'm thinking for that. I'm so perplexed by this one. I just can't think of what that could mean for myself. I guess one thing I can say is I change and move away. I've moved a lot in my life, and I've had a lot of, you know, big changes that I've never had anything really like pop its head up that much, just because, you know, just like with these type of cycles, they just keep going, you know. And maybe this means this will be something different, that nothing's going to pop up for me, which I'd be fine with, unless it's something good. So yeah, these cards look really nice together. But anyway, that was just a really quick read. I don't know. I love reading, obviously, but anytime I try to like record it, I'm just so uncomfortable, which really sucks because I really like reading. I have, it's part of my like anxiety disorder maybe, and it's even worse when I have to like do something, or try to dig deep. But yeah, so I'll link Moon Mama Oracle down below, because I think they, I don't even know who the user is. I didn't really dig that deep. I just saw someone posting spreads, and I thought, oh, that'd be so fun. Well, not fun, but, you know, helpful. There's one, well, there's quite a few spreads that are a little bit deeper that I actually want to do for some shadow type work that I never even thought about doing. So I think this is about like our mom wounds, or wounds that we got from our moms or something, which, you know, I thought about doing that one, but that might be a little deep. I don't know. And then the father one may come out in February is what she said. So I'll link all that below if you want to go check out some of those spreads. And if you want to do this one, that'd be cool. I thought it was really interesting, and actually really helpful. So I think Mercury retrograde gets done early February, like February 2nd or 3rd or something. So we're, you know, just hold tight. We're almost there. But anyway, yeah, I guess that's it. So thanks for watching, and take care.